Richard Jefferson in for Jalen Rose.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here. We had game one of a second-round series in the Eastern Conference. The number 1 seed Milwaukee at home hosting the Celtics. And they didn't look very good. We will get to how the Celtics limited Giannis. But the first thing that jumped out at me from this game was Al Horford. Not just on defense, but also on offense. He would set screens, and then the Bucks would just leave him.
I wasn't leaving him right there.
Over and over. Watch. You're going to see this. This happened so many times where they would sink down and he would just be wide open.
Thank you, Kyrie.
So my question for you as someone who's been in the locker room, is this a strategy where they're saying we're not going to let Kyrie beat us?
Yes, 100%. Look, Al Horford's knocking down threes now. We know he's more than capable of knocking that down. That's what he does. That's why he's a great complement to Kyrie. That's why he's a great, complimentary player to everyone. But you know what you're not doing? You're not throwing the ball to Al Horford to go get a shot on the block. You're not throwing to Al Horford when you need a bucket. You know when you're throwing the ball to Al Horford? When you have great pick and roll players like Kyrie, like Tatum, and they can, Gordon Hayward, and all of a sudden, because those guys put so much pressure on you, he sets a really good screen, and then he gets open. The screener typically is the person to get open, and why he's so dangerous because he can knock down those shots.
So do you think this is a strategy? Like, we're going to pick your poison. We do not want Kyrie going to the basket on us, and we're just going to let Al Horford drift from 17 feet and hit that weird jump shot.
In the history of the game of basketball, how many little guys do you think have ever been able to finish like Kyrie? Where would you rank him?
I don't know.
Top three?
I mean, easily. Yeah. I'm trying to think like Isaiah Thomas or Tiny Archibald or whatever.
Tony Parker and the ability.
Sure.
We don't want them to beat us. So if it's between Kyrie, the all-world, Rookie of the Year, all these other awards that this man has, and it's Al Horford shooting jumpers, and that's what you're going to live with. And the reason why they're so good and why they underachieved quite a bit this year is because that is a very good weapon if that's what you're going to use to try and beat you.
Well, Al Horford did a lot on the defensive end, too, against a gentleman by the name of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis finished 7 for 21 from the field, 4 for 15 in the paint.
Yeah.
He got 3. He had 3 threes in this game, too. Yeah. So he was 2 for 10 when guarded by Baines and Horford. What did the Celtics do defensively to limit Giannis?
Well, they just threw a lot of bodies at him. And this is what I'll say where I think the Bucks will get better and where I disagree with Paul Pierce. It's because when you play against a Detroit team that was the worst team in the postseason, and it's unfortunate because Blake Griffin, that was a really, really tough team. But you play against them, there's no stress. There's anyone that can really even compete with you. There was 4 players on the Milwaukee Bucks team that probably would have been the best player on that Detroit Pistons team. So they haven't. This is their first postseason game to me, if you ask me. This is their first postseason game, and you go against and look, say what you will about Indiana, and they've overachieved, but they play hard. They're gritty and they're tough.
Good defense.
Kind of like the Clippers, not as talented. But point being is this was their first postseason real game. So I think they'll get better. I think Giannis just, the intensity and these guys that were playing a high-level basketball. And look, you say this. If you sit down at a table and they say you don't see a sucker, then you're it, right? Look, you put Giannis, James Harden, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard all at a table. Which one do you think is a sucker in there?
None.
There's somebody is. Somebody is. One guy is going to sit there and play cards, the game of basketball. One of those guys is a sucker. Who are you picking? You going to pick Kawhi?
No.
You going to pick James Harden?
No.
You going to pick Bron?
Probably Giannis. That's where we're headed. That's
where we're headed. Go. That's where we're headed.
But that's elite company.
No, but that is. But he's trying. He's about to win the MVP. He's trying to win a championship and get to the finals. So you're saying of all of those guys that are probably left in the postseason, including Steph, you're going to say that Giannis is probably the weaker of all of those guys. So are we really surprised with this performance? He will get better. We're not saying that he's not going to continue to improve. The guy is 15 years old. But at the end of the day, he's still has a lot more to prove before he's that guy.
And he needs to change his game a little bit. And if he calls you right now, says, RJ, I saw you on Jalen and Jacoby, brilliant basketball mind.
He does this often.
What should I do between game 1 and game 2? How should I adjust?
I think do everything that you've always done this year and everything in that game. But understand, this is not the Detroit Pistons, which he knows. This is a very good team. So if you think that you're going hard, you need to go harder. If you think that you're jumping high, go even harder, because you know this. How you play in the first round, how you play in the second round, it's not the same as how you play in the NBA Finals. It's not.
Yeah.
There's more on stake. You're running hard. You're going to exhaustion. So you just got to continue to raise your level. And this is his first time winning a postseason, series. So for him to get there the next year, it's like every round becomes exponentially harder. And so, like, I would say do everything that you're doing, but do it harder.
So the Celtics, just so much drama this regular season.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were on the rundown every single day, and it wasn't always a good thing.
No.
They've now gotten into the playoffs, and they've won 5 straight games.
Yeah.
Like, have they figured it out?
I think they have, but I need to see some adversity. Great teams, like when you want to accomplish that goal, you have to go through adversity. And I think we have yet to see them have adversity. And that's going to be the first moment in which we see who they really are. Like if they would have lost the first 2 games in Milwaukee, right? And then you're like, okay, well, we're going to find out about Boston in this game 3. Now, yeah, they came out, they punched first, they shot the ball well, which is always key. You shoot the ball well, the other team didn't. So I think that it's more about finding out who they are through adversity, not through their successes. So the 5 wins are great. If they win 7, if they sweep Milwaukee, that's great. I still don't think we've really seen who they are until they have some adversity and bounce back.
Well, of course, we're going to talk about the other game in the Eastern Conference round 2. But first, it's time for news that matters.
News that matters, that's all.
Look at this. Fernando Rodney is a 42-year-old relief pitcher, a closer for the Oakland A's.
Tell me more.
And you always need to be ready when you're in the bullpen.
Always.
You know, the phone can ring at any time, and you got to get up and
they start doing
play
this.
baseball. Well, there's a tweet that I wanted to show you about some of Mr. Rodney's behaviors. Comes from A-Spaz. At the Blue Jays game, sitting behind the visitor bullpen, just watched Fernando Rodney pour himself a coffee half full and then top it off with sugar-free Red Bull. Asked him what he calls that. Straight face without missing a beat, he answered, "A wake me up." Richard Jefferson. I always need a little wake me up during the show. So we've got a cup of coffee here. We're going to pour in some of that sugar-free Red Bull. The smell is already there. Would you ever drink a wake me up?
It's not that bad.
Not that bad?
It's not that
I'm
bad.
Give it a try. I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it a try.
We didn't stir it.
Not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Not that bad. And that is a black coffee with no sugar in it.
That's not that bad. I don't think
I
you would want to
expected
put
that to be a lot more dramatic.
You don't put sugar or cream in that. It's black coffee with that. And I'll say this, guys.
Not bad.
Look,
this is the biggest surprise I've had on the show for like a month.
Now let me say this: before you play in postseason games, right? Like regular season games, you just get through them. But postseason, like I would drink bulletproof coffees. I would have a 5-hour energy. I would do 2 cups of a salt. I don't know if you know what a salt is. A salt is a pre-workout drink that is literally like feels like you can jump up and change the light bulbs in the Jumbotron if needed, right? That's what you do. Oh yeah, I actually had to calm myself because I got the jitters too much because it was just like
you think you got the jitters when you had bulletproof coffee, 5-hour energy, and a salt?
I wasn't doing all 3. I'm saying I would do one of those 3. So I would typically it would be a 5-hour energy. But then I got onto the salt. So what I would do is I would pour a salt in right before I would go do my workout to get me amped up. And then, because you would like go on the court and shoot, then you would go and do a little bit of weights. We call it activation. Then you come back in, you would chill, you would do your meeting. And then right before you would run out, I would drink another thing of a salt. And then I'd be ready to go.
Question for you. Was there ever one game or one time when you were like, maybe I overdid it?
100%. 100%.
Maybe this is not.
Your heart is like your tongue, right? And you're like, this can't be healthy, but it doesn't matter, right? We just need to win this game. But yeah, no. So, and truth be told, and I did that when I was older.
And you weren't always starting either.
No,
so
you're on the bench.
Right.
Yeah. So no, but I never did this when I was young. But once you're 35 years old, you're 34 years old, and you're playing in the postseason against these young horses, and you're traveling 2 different time zones, and your body is like asleep. You're just exhausted, and you're trying to just wake the whatever up. That's when you do it. And boy, when I tell you, it's amazing. It is amazing. It's amazing. It's impressive.
Kawhi Leonard has been amazing throughout these playoffs.
Yes,
we'll break it down right after that. Fernando.
Not that bad.
Not that bad.
You got to give the people